Can you hear me, Stephen?
Yes, I can hear you, Carrie.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Good thing. right, good evening, everyone. Can everybody hear me okay? All right, good. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Councilmember Pate is going to lead us in the invocation, and we'll follow that up with the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Pate, and I believe you're on mute right now, Councilmember Pate.
Can anybody hear me?
There we go. We can hear you now.
Let's go to the Lord. Father God, as we come to the throne of grace tonight, I ask you to be with each member here tonight as we discuss town business, God, that you would fill us with the correct answers and see what needs to be done in this town and get her done. In his name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Let's stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Pate. All right, are there any additions, deletions, or clarifications that need to be made to the agenda tonight? I know item 8, closed session, there's no longer a need to go in the closed session, so we can strike that from the agenda. Any other changes that need to be made? If not, do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Councilmember Pate made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do that. Councilmember Hart second the motion. And Councilmember Pate, in favor or against?
Favorite.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland?
In favor.
Councilmember Hart?
Favor.
Councilmember Ingalls?
In favor.
Councilmember Kaiser?
In favor.
So carried. Item 2, do I have a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from December 7th, 2020?
I'll make that motion.
Councilmember Hart made the motion. Do I have a second?
And I'll second.
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland second the motion. Councilmember Pate, you in favor or against?
I'm in favor.
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland?
In favor.
Councilmember Hart?
In favor.
Councilmember Ingalls?
In favor.
Councilmember Kaiser?
In favor.
We'll move on to item 3 under old business. This is to give the town manager authorization to seek financing for the purchase and installation of radio read meters, towers, software, and other infrastructure associated with radio read meters. Manager Jenkins, since Director Roseberry is not with us tonight, can you just give us an update on this project?
Yes, sir. I'll be glad to. This matter was discussed previously with the board concerning the moving forward with the installation of radio read meters. This matter has been studied previously in 2019 and originally was proposed to be part of the capital outlay projects that we did with the town hall and the downtown development projects, but we chose to postpone that portion of it. So I've got a resolution tonight explaining why we feel like that this is an important move for the town and asking the council to allow me to move forward on this project. I know that Councilman Pate had contacted me earlier in 2020 in December and said that he felt like this was an important project that we should move forward to. And I think he may have had other conversations with the council about this. The resolution before you tonight just states the previous study, what we feel like the cost savings would be, and would allow us to move forward with the project. Before we allocated the funds or seek financing for the project, we would bring that back to the council for a final vote before we could actually move forward with it. But the purpose of this resolution is to let the staff know that this is a project that the council wants to proceed with, before we go and do our preliminary work on this, which will include requests for proposals and seeking financing through various sources, and then doing a resolution with the state to finance the project.
We're looking at a projected cost of approximately $800,000 for completion on this project.
Yes, sir, that is correct. And I can tell you, based on construction costs, not just with what the town has worked on, but just seeing what's going on with growth and development, those numbers are not likely to come down. They're likely to go up. That is actually an increase over the original quote that we received back in 2019.
Mm-hmm. And the current developments that are going in, they are being upfitted with the radio read meters, correct?
That is correct. All subdivisions that are being built now require the radio read meters. We did this anticipation, before that we would all switch to radio read meters for the entire town. The quote that we received includes the purchase of all the meters that we would need, minus those that have already been purchased through the subdivisions. There would also be some additional cost offset with our fee that we charge anytime a new meter is installed. We charge a meter setting fee, so that would continue to apply. Where it doesn't apply is where we're replacing antiquated meters and put it in the radio read, and there's where the majority of your cost is. That and the towers that have to be installed, the infrastructure and the software.
Do you know what the estimated time of completion would be on that to upfit the existing meters?
If I recall correctly, the last time that we studied this issue, it was a very aggressive implementation would be 6 months, because you have to consider from the time you say that you want to move forward to the time we go through the LGC and obtain financing, and then an additional 6 months just to get the meters installed. And I think that would be an ideal situation if we could get it done that quickly.
Okay. What, as far as the financing, what type of term are you thinking about?
I know that when we looked at financing previously, we checked with the numerous sources. The USDA is commonly used for those type of projects. What we don't know is, and what I want to investigate further, is there any community development block grant or any kind of CARES Act or any kind of associated funding that may be available to help offset the cost. If there is, we would apply for that and try to obtain that. But ultimately, we have to look at the cost and what it will be if we don't have assistance through a grant.
As far as the term, are you looking 10 years, 15 years?
Yeah, the terms, Mayor, are not, usually not spread out any farther than the technology itself would last. So the LGC and agencies who lend money for those type of projects are not going to push it out anything beyond 10 years. I wouldn't think it would even be at all past 10 years, because then the technology may be updated or obsolete.
Okay. If I remember, we were discussing this last time. Just about every other municipality in Gaston County has this, with the exception, I believe, was it High Shoals? Us and High Shoals are the only one that still manually reads meters.
Last conversation I had with Craig, it was High Shoals was the only one. I do know that Belmont had just installed theirs when we discussed this in 2019, and I know since then that Lowell has went with a totally automated meter reading program similar to what we're proposing.
Okay. And the resolution just states for those that are attending tonight, for our citizens, it looks like the estimated annual cost to manual read these meters currently is about $35,000 a year.
Yes, sir. That is our estimate of direct cost by manually reading those meters, which is physically writing down the meter reading numbers using 2 personnel for a certain amount of time per cycle. Then those numbers being brought back to the town utility billing department, and they have to re-enter those numbers into the system, and then they have to do rereads, because when you read that many meters manually, there's always rereads on mistakes that are made. It's just a very antiquated system. It's the same system we were using to read meters 35 and 40 years ago.
I know you'll have to check on this, but do you have any idea what the financing rate would be approximately?
I think the rates would be more competitive now than they were in 2019, but we were looking at very low rates. And if I recall correctly, depending on who you utilize, in the 3%, maybe 4%. Hopefully those numbers would be more competitive now than then.
Should be, I would think. Any other questions from the council?
I'd like to comment.
Yes.
I was talking to Mr. Roseberg. I give a situation next door to me, an older lady, her pipe burst right out, well, actually the outside spigot. The water was spewing bad outside. Of course, in the wintertime, we don't go out much. That being said, she lost a bunch of water. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this new system would red flag that. That'd be a big cost savings to people. If they're, had a ruptured line or something, that thing would flag it. Have you guys heard anything about that?
Yes, sir. That is correct. The technology that we're proposing would be a system that actually does a live reading of the meter every, I think the pinging time is like 2 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that. So if the system recognizes that you have a customer who normally utilizes or uses X number of gallons of water on a daily basis or a weekly basis or a monthly basis, and those numbers become skewed for some reason, there would be a system in place to alert the customer and the town of a potential leak situation. And that carries huge benefits, especially when you're a town who purchases their water from another provider. And you got to remember that we're utilizing antiquated meter technology that does not even capture, depending on what condition the meter is in, does not even capture 100% of the water. When the master meter that Mount Holly has that meters our water captures 100% of that water. So we're billed for every gallon that comes into our system, and that includes what we lose through leaks and through town use and those type of things. But you're using antiquated meters among 2,000 plus customers, where we're being billed on a newer system.
If I might add one more incident that I heard about, there's a guy had a ruptured line on his side of the meter, and instead of the water surfacing, it went underground, and he didn't know it till the meter was red, and he owed an astronomical bill.
It doesn't.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It doesn't take long. I mean, for a provider who has to purchase water at the rate we purchase that water, and then have to add in our cost to and maintain our system, those bills can be extremely expensive for someone who's experienced a leak. And a lot of times we can mitigate that by, if it's a leak that we know did not go into the sewer system. But if they can't prove that it didn't go into the sewer system, then our sewer is also metered. So it's difficult for us to change that reading for the meter on the sewer side. So it can cause someone whose bill is $80 or $90 a month to go to $500 or $600 or $800 a month real quick.
All right, any other questions from the council? If not, does the council want to give Manager Jenkins authorization to move forward with seeking financing for this project? Again, it's not approving it, it's just moving forward.
We need a motion for that.
You need an actual motion, Manager Jenkins?
Yes, sir. We need a motion to approve this resolution,
Resolution, okay.
including the last part, which is the now therefore be resolved action part of it.
All right.
I'll make the motion that we give him the authorization to move forward.
I'll second that.
All right, so Councilmember Hart made the motion. Councilmember Ingalls seconded the motion. Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland,
I agree.
Councilmember Pate,
I approve.
Councilmember Hart,
Favor.
Councilmember Ingalls,
In favor.
and Councilmember Kaiser.
In favor.
All right, so carried unanimously.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for that. We will get the ball rolling on that and get something back to the council for consideration as quickly as we can.
How soon do you think, Manager, it'll take you to obtain that information?
It'll be, I think we'd be pushed to get it put together by February, but we're going to target March.
March, okay. Okay. Moving on to item 4, this is a public hearing regarding the subdivision and rezoning of parcel number 134173. This is at 504 South Main Street here in Stanley. Do I have a motion to open this public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Councilmember Hart made the motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Councilmember Pate seconded the motion. Councilmember Pate, you in favor or against?
Favor?
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland?
Favor.
Councilmember Hart?
Favor.
Councilmember Ingalls?
In favor.
Councilmember Kaiser?
In favor.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, has there been any public comments regarding this public hearing that you've received?
We did not receive any, Mayor.
Okay. Any comments from the council regarding this public hearing? If not, do I have a motion to close this public hearing?
Excuse me.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, could I bring up the subject that I saw on my email? Daniel Hawley and the trash trucks. They dumping their trash into the truck, and a lot of trash don't go out and it's going into the road. And it's aggravating a lot of people. And I've noticed this on Valley Street. I don't know about the other streets, but I noticed them trash trucks are doing a lot of damage in Stanley.
Is this regarding the public hearing, Councilmember Pate, or just?
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We'll address that in just a little bit during the council meeting. At this time, do I have a motion to close this public hearing?
I'll make it.
Councilmember Hart made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland second the motion. Councilmember Pate, you for or against?
Or
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland?
For.
Councilmember Hart?
Or
Councilmember Ingalls?
In favor.
And Councilmember Kaiser? Thank you. All right, so do I have a motion to approve the subdivision resulting in parcel number 134173 at 504 South Main Street here in Stanley?
I'll make that motion.
Councilmember Hart made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Kaiser seconded the motion. Councilmember Pate, you for or against?
or
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland?
For.
Councilmember Hart?
Or
Councilmember Ingalls?
For.
And Councilmember Kaiser?
In favor.
Okay, so carried unanimously.
I have a question for Mr. Jenkins. Is that okay?
Yes, go right ahead, Mr. Demmer.
Can I pick that up, the approved zoning permit tomorrow?
Sure.
Okay. Just see Olga?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dimmer.
Yep.
Move on to item B. This is the appointment of Judy Abernathy to serve on the Stanley Total Living Center Board of Directors. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
All right. Councilmember Kaiser made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And Councilmember Pate seconded the motion. Councilmember Pate, you for or against?
4.
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland,
4.
Councilmember Hart,
4.
Councilmember Ingold,
4.
and Councilmember Kaiser.
In favor.
All right, we'll move on to department reports. The finance report has been provided. Any questions for Director Haney? Okay. Director Haney, anything you wanted to add?
Just one thing. If you see the summary sheet on top, the checking account balance has gone way up, and that's mainly because in the month of in the month of November, we received a lot of money from Gaston County for property taxes. Usually that comes in mainly in December and January, but we tended or we got a lot more of it in November this time. But that's the reason for that big increase in cash.
Excellent. Thank you, Director Haney. Director Roseberry is not with us tonight. Director Deason, I don't believe, is with us as well, Manager.
I think Mr. Deason is with us.
Is that him on the phone that got in? All right. All right. Any questions for Director Deason? Director Deason, do you have anything you wish to add? I don't believe he is with us, Manager. He might have dropped off.
I think he's muted.
Give him just a moment.
I sent him a message.
Okay. Director Deason, if you can hear us, we'll circle back to you. All right. And Chief Withers? Any
I
questions?
can hear you.
Okay. Director Deason, anything you wish to add?
No, sir. I just now figured out how to get the thing working, so I apologize.
No problem. Thank you, Tuck.
Thank you.
All right, the fire report's been provided. Any questions for Chief Withers? Chief, I did notice that in your report, you said that one part-time person resigned and 2 volunteers were dismissed.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
How do you feel about the current staffing levels with that happening?
Staffing levels are still good, Mayor. We're in the process of putting together a push for volunteers. But as we speak, everything's good with the current staffing.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. And the police report's been provided. Any questions for Chief Summey? Chief Summey, anything you wish to add?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I just want to say that I'm sure you're aware we were unable to host the senior Christmas breakfast this year due to COVID restrictions. However, we were able to piggyback with the Stanley Recreation Department and the fire department and provide over 120 gift bags to our seniors from the police department. Just a way for us to reach out to our seniors and our shut-ins in our community, let them know that we're thinking about them. I know this is a tough year for them especially, but I also want to thank Detective Billings and our administrative assistant, Chloe, for putting those bags, putting those bags together. And I know Tug and the fire department helped deliver those, but we appreciate that and letting us be a part of that as well. I also want to just take a minute to say that we continue to keep the officers at the Mount Holly Police Department in our thoughts and prayers after Officer Tyler Herndon was gunned down, shot in the line of duty, December the 11th. And we were fortunate enough to go down and send a few guys down to help them cover their shift after Tyler was killed. So we, myself and I know the manager, Captain Wright and Sergeant Kerrigan attended his service in Kings Mountain, but we continue to keep them in our thoughts and prayers. I don't have anything further.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chief. We'll move to item 6, manager report. Manager Jenkins, do you have anything else you wish to add?
Just a couple things real quickly. I'd like to ask that everyone keep our town attorney, Mr. Wyndham, in your prayers. He's experienced some additional medical issues. We really don't know the status of that fully at this point, but I think him and his family need our prayers and thoughts for the things that he is dealing with as we speak. We do have access to someone from his firm to contact regarding legal matters, and when we need him to attend a meeting in Mr. Wyndham's absence, we'll have a staff attorney that will assist us during that time. Also wanted to update the council on the local government commission as extension of the deadline to submit the annual audit. Things totally changed this year, and I think that Mr. Haney will tell you real quick. This is unprecedented as far as how the audit was conducted. We normally have auditors who send the staff in to be present in the building and request information all day long, as long as they're here going through our files. And so that's totally changed. Everything had to be located and uploaded to a server. And so that's, pushed out the time. I've been assured by Daniel, who was the lead from Cherry and Becker, that our audit will be submitted on time. And last time I spoke with him, he said that everything looked good and everything was going fine with the audit. And he'll be available to do a presentation to the council. I believe in February is when we had scheduled to have him here. Kevin, did you have anything you needed to add to that part?
Just to give a date, that the LGC extended the date until January the 31st. Normally it's due at the end of October, and they will give you to the middle of December without a penalty or anything. But because of COVID and other factors, they have extended it until the 31st of January.
Thank you, Kevin. Also, I want to mention that S.C. Johnson Company, if you recall that back when the COVID-19 pandemic began, they reached out immediately and provided the town with $50,000 worth of assistance to our community with water bills and groceries for those in need. And that's been a program that has been very beneficial to the citizens of our community, and not only those who are water and sewer customers of the town, but those who have been in need. And just want to thank Mr. Deason for his part in that. Anytime it's a grocery issue, he personally goes out and meets with the people, and we try to make it as discreet as possible to help them. But towards as Christmas was approaching, I received a call from their corporate office. The same gentleman had called me in the beginning of the pandemic and said, "Hey, we're doing a program this year called 20 Days of Giving." And to make a long story short, they gave the town an additional $20,000 to go towards helping families in need at Christmas. And I think Mr. Deason also helped me with that program, and you can attest to the fact of how many families we were able to help with that. So hats off to their company, S.C. Johnson, and for their generosity during a time that we have a lot of citizens who certainly need it. And they did a ceremonial presentation of a check. I'll send this information out to the council in a PDF document later. I had a presentation or quick presentation I was going to make this evening concerning the planning and zoning problems, not really problems, just that we've been overwhelmed with planning and zoning issues, and we had a proposal put together for that. But I got a call from the head of their planning department at Gaston County earlier today. And I had sent out an email to all the other communities, just as a background, try to get some information on their planning staff and what they paid their planning staff and how it was funded and so forth. To make a long story short, they offered to partner with the town of Stanley in working together on our zoning and planning services. So I'm not going to even make that presentation tonight because I think I need to do my due diligence with the county to see what we may be able to work out with them and their zoning department. I can see some great opportunities there, especially for people who apply for zoning permits in the ETJ, where it could be seamless and would not cause them to have to go through multiple hoops to get a permit. For those of you that don't know, Gaston County already provides all of our building inspections, and so they already handle that part. So it seems like a good fit that they could help us with those other issues with zoning permits and so forth. So we're going to be scheduling a meeting with their head guy in planning and his staff and the town, and I'll update the council on how that turns out with any recommendations that we have.
You think you'll have that meeting, manager, before the February meeting?
Yes, I do. I think we're going to try to meet as soon as possible. So it'll probably be sometime in January, depending on how quickly he can get his staff together, because we're working with him and about 4 or 5 of his people. But he talked like today we could make that happen fairly quickly. And he had the support of the county manager in regards to that call. They had discussed it, and she asked that he reach out to me and talk about it. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to consider and look at. So I'll be bringing that back to you.
Okay. Thank you.
The only other thing I had, I've got a full report that I will send the council, but if you can just bear with me just a minute, I got a few things that I feel like are important to talk about. Back during the time we were trying to plan the current budget, we were highly concerned about revenues and where we would be at this point. And so we withheld any proposals for cost of living raises for employees. I know we did go back and because of competitive salaries and adjusted the police salaries and discussed with the council several months ago that I'd like to be able to come back in the new year and provide a recommendation for those for consideration for the remainder of employees to receive a cost of living raise similar to what the adjustments we made in the police department. Of course, some of those were not based on the cost of living; they were based on the market. But I want to share just a couple of things real quickly. We've analyzed the numbers, and I think Kevin will agree that we're in better shape than we anticipated as far as revenues go. One of the reasons for that is just our growth in ad valorem taxes and the addition of new homes and commercial investment. But ultimately, when we look at benchmarking for salaries, Cherry Becker shared some information on a benchmark study that they did among some of their customers who are government agencies. And they found that 76% of the respondents indicated salary increases for employees over the past year. It also reported the most significant barriers to recruiting and retaining talent was competitive salary. It also reflected that 80% of those surveyed indicated that competitiveness of salaries was the most significant factor in turnover. And also, there was a North Carolina League of Municipalities who publishes this data for municipalities so they can look at other towns who are similar in size to see kind of what they're doing. 25% or 25 responded to the survey in towns our size, and 20 indicated employees were given COLA raises. an average of at least 2.17%. In the same group responded that 80% of the employees received a performance appraisal increase, and 2.6 received some type of merit increase. In the same population group, 80% provide employees with some type of longevity. It's important to note that the numbers that the league puts out are making comparisons to towns our size, but not necessarily always the same market. There may be different factors depending on what part of the state you're in and what drives those numbers and where they need to be. Of course, this year has been an extremely difficult year for our employees, and have acted, as essential workers to go out and deal with the services of the town without, and putting themselves at risk often with this virus and pandemic that we're dealing with. But my final point on that, and I'll bring it back up and talk about it at budget time, but I think that it's going to be more imperative than ever that the town consider that we're going to have to get creative and be bold in our actions when it comes to investing in our employees, because now more than ever, $1 on the hour or 50 cents on the hour will cause an employee that we've invested a lot of money in to move somewhere else. Longevity is something that all the towns are reassessing and looking at, as well as how do you tie in the longevity pay and split it up with merit and cost of living. And it used to be that cost of living among government employees was the status quo, but now what I'm starting to see is other agencies are starting to move away from that and provide more of incentive for an employee to stay with the town longer by providing a larger COLA increase the longer you have worked for the town, and looking at ways to provide other things for employees that the other town may not be providing. I do know, in speaking with the other municipalities in Gaston County, it's been interesting because a lot of them have went back and done pay studies and made market increases to their salaries. But I think more than ever, we're going to have to get creative with that. And so the 2021 budget will include our recommendations on how to handle that. And we're going to put a lot of thought and effort into that. But I would ask the council to consider the raises for the additional raises for the employees who did not receive a raise back in July 1. And we would just not prorate those, but we would just, if the council approved an increase, that we would just pick that up at the time of the increase being in January, whatever the council wants to do forward. But that would be my recommendation, that the council consider a 3% cost of living increase for all the employees. I think that financially we're very sound and in a good position to do that. And just wanted to make that part of my report.
You're looking at a 3% increase for town hall employees, those in public works, recreation department, and then for the fire department, you're referring to Chief Withers and Assistant Chief Hollett?
Yes, it would be my recommendation that they receive an increase as well. They normally are not considered as part of the salary increases during the, for full-time employees, but it's been a while since either have received an increase in their base salary.
Is that it? Did I cover everybody? My list.
It would be the only employees that would not be included would be those employees that we adjusted back when we made those adjustments to the police department salaries.
Okay. That's 3% COLA adjustment, correct?
Yes, sir.
I don't have a problem with that. How's the rest of the council feel?
Well, I feel good about it.
I'm fine with it.
I don't have any issues with that.
So if not, do I have a motion to allow Manager Jenkins to give a 3% increase to the town employees that did not receive the adjustment when we made the increase to the police officers?
I'll make that motion.
Councilmember Hart made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Pro Tem Kirkland second the motion. Councilmember Pate, are you for or against?
For.
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland?
4.
Councilmember Hart?
For.
Councilmember Kaiser?
In favor.
Councilmember Ingold? He might have had a call and had to step away. You have a majority of the vote, Manager Jenkins. Is that sufficient?
Yes, sir, it is. And I, on behalf of all the town employees, for those that were adjusted several months ago and the ones that you voted on this evening, I could just say thank you on behalf of the employees. I'm sure they appreciate it. And it's been a tough year for everybody. And we definitely want to let our employees know that they're our most important asset, and we'll convey that information to them. Thank you on behalf of the town employees.
Absolutely. Do you have anything else, Manager Jenkins?
That's all I had in my report.
Okay. We'll move on to item 7, council reports and comments. Councilmember Pate, I know you had an issue, you said, with trash that was being spilled. Was that on Valley Street, if I'm not mistaken?
Well, it's on Valley Street and also on Ethel Drive. And I'm sure there's other streets, but the thing is that these drivers don't seem to have no caution about their job and how they handle these trash cans. And there is a lot of trash being put out on the streets. And we've talked about this numerous times that they cut short on the corners of these close streets like Valley and 3rd and 4th Street, and they're tearing the property up. And they've been cautioned about that several times. They don't seem to adhere to nothing we say to them.
Manager
And I
Jenkins,
got an email. About, I guess everybody did, from Daniel Hawley on Ethel. And I don't know. I know whenever there's a problem, if town hall is called, customers were told to call the trash company ourselves. But I think it would be good. I don't know how much more that'll put on. I hate to put anything else on anybody at town hall, but maybe if it comes from them, it'll be, treated better than just us, customers calling, because in the past it doesn't seem to be. And I hate for people to call town hall with a problem and then kind of be put off. Well, then you call them. I think it'd be nice if somebody from town hall could call the trash company when we have problems with it.
Mayor, may I respond to that?
Sure.
You're exactly right. And what we've done in the past, that became a real sticking point with when we did negotiations previously with, now keep in mind our provider has been sold twice since then, but that was a huge sticking point with providing better customer service to our citizens. And the reason that we would rather not vet the original calls to the trash company is all we're doing is conveying what that customer can convey directly to them. But I agree, when it's a case where they're having a problem and it's not being addressed by the company, then we do get involved. And I know that I have personally reached out to the district manager. Craig has reached out to the district manager a number of times with complaints specifically to those that we continue to hear from. Maybe, it might be a neighborhood or it might be a certain individual who's experiencing a problem, but they are not as responsive as we would like them to be. But it's a very complex business. And from what I understand, we're not the only town that has issues with contracted services like that. It's different when they're your actual employees. There's a little bit more hoops to jump through, but we can definitely express to the district manager and to the company that we're having some problems and some issues that we're not happy with. But I would encourage you to continue to allow the customers, they've got the website information and the direct contact number, to at least start there. And then if they have a problem that they can't have, they're not getting any response to, then absolutely we'll be more than happy to do that. What we may want to do is even create, as we get our new website up and running, a form that somebody could submit, and we can have it documented and send it directly to the company saying, hey, we're having a continued problem here. But we'll do whatever the council wants. I just know that that's vetting a tremendous amount of those complaint calls that come through, and a lot of them are responded to, but there are some issues where they don't. And a lot of it's been with broken trash cans. That seems to be a problem for some reason. Not having those type of things.
Manager Jenkins, you said that y'all have addressed this with them a number of times. When does the bidding process come up again? Like if it's been addressed and it's not being taken care of, at what point do we say, okay, we pay you and you're not fulfilling the needs of our customers, so we'll go with someone else?
And I agree totally. And I think we're actually, without going into too much detail, and I think it would be something that we need to address further in a different session, in a closed session. But I agree, and I think that we may be at a good point to talk about that. The problem I have seen in the past, though, with solid waste collections is, we want to make sure that we do our due diligence in trying to resolve any issues that may be there. There's always been issues regardless of who was providing the service, because what you don't want to happen is to put it back out to bid, go with a different company, and you have worse problems than you do with the company you have now, the kind of the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know kind of thing. But I hear what the council's saying. We do vet a lot of those calls and make personal contact on behalf of customers. We might just need to step that effort up a little bit more. I know we've done that before, where we were actually documenting every complaint that came in and the outcome of it, and we're bringing it back up if it wasn't handled. And the other option would be to look at backing out that customer's charge that they make to the town. If you're not providing the service and you're not picking their garbage up, then we're not going to pay you. And we're going to deduct this amount of money per month to see if we can't get some compliance with that. But it's a complex business, and there's a lot of issues that you're dealing with on a lot of different ends. But I hear what the council's saying about the complaints, and we will definitely, I'm going to go ahead and make contact with them now anyway, with who we need to make contact with, and set up a meeting and express to them that we're having some issues and that the council's not happy with it, and that we're at a point where we either need some compliance in customer service, or we need to look at other avenues to make sure we get it.
That sounds good.
Would you mind updating us on that conversation, Manager, at the April meeting?
What I'll do is follow up directly to the council in an email about that conversation and what we're able to work out.
Okay.
Might I add this? If people would put their garbage in bags instead of loose, a lot of stuff gets loose in a trash can and it gets sticky. And if you just put papers by themselves down in there or whatever, that might have a tendency to hold that enough that when he's shaking his can, it don't come out in the truck, but as he's letting it down, it comes out on the ground. Now, I know we can't make people do that, but I don't have that problem at my house because everything goes in a bag.
You make a good point, Councilman, and there is actually things we can do. And you're right. There's certain things in the contract where the customer has certain responsibilities, and that includes that they're only required to pick up what is contained in that can, not what you've piled on top of it or piled around it or added to on the side of it, because you've seen the trucks, they go around with one person driving the truck and it's automated. They don't get out and pick up garbage on the side of the can or behind the can. All those things are spelled out in the contract. So, it might be a good customer awareness thing that we could do on the website to let customers know their responsibilities as well.
All right. Thank you, Manager.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments from the council tonight?
If you don't mind, I got one more.
Sure.
Concerning the charter school. Well, I'm already getting complaints on Valley Street of cars going, letting their children out. They're backing up and blocking driveways and people can't get out. Now, I happened to be walking that road this morning. I talked to Mr. McGinnis. And I said, what about that parcel of land you're going to buy off of, you want to buy maybe? Are you going to put more trailers? Yeah. Well, that's going to be more traffic. I said, what about the space up here off the main road up there, the big place you got? Yeah, we're going to put something there too. Well, I'm beginning to wonder how in the world they're going to control that traffic. So that plan should be looked at, future plans. Here's what we're going to do. If we do sell the property to them, we're adding insult to injury. So it's catch-22. What do you guys think?
There is a lot of traffic there on those small streets. With more children, there'll be more traffic. I don't know how it can be handled.
Are they still in their temporary traffic pattern, or are they in their real one now?
Well, I really think they're getting there the best way they can, or the quickest.
Hey, would you like me to respond to anything?
Yeah, aren't they supposed to come up with a permanent plan?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. If you recall, the council agreed to the original traffic plan because we didn't, because the charter school ran up against some time issues, and DOT kind of pushed back on any improvements to Mooney Road or Ralph Hansel Boulevard. Basically what the state said was, the traffic pattern that they're proposing involves city streets, and we're putting that ball back in your court. But the first year, y'all originally agreed to that as a temporary traffic pattern without any type of improvements or turn lane or anything. And then we were approached again this year, basically with the same type of issues, and the council agreed to extend that traffic pattern. But one of the parts of that agreement is that if it becomes an issue, particularly for the safety of fire and police, that we would have to address that. So Councilman Pate, at the very least, I will follow up with Chief Summey and Chief Withers and get their feedback on what if anything they see as an issue with the public safety, and reach out to the school and have a discussion with them. But I think one of the issues you're seeing there is you agreed, or the council agreed to a traffic pattern, and it included one street, but it's impacting the multiple ways people can come into that street and backing up on those streets as well. So you're not just dealing with Valley, you're dealing with 3rd and 2nd and 4th. And so that is definitely creating an issue, and it's creating an issue for the people who are blocked into their house, and the people waiting in line don't let them out or can't let them out.
And is all this, I assume, is while a certain percentage of them are still virtual?
They're 5 days a week, I believe.
They're 5 days a week. Do they have the option of going virtual?
They opt to go full 5 days. They are not virtual unless they've shut down due to COVID, which they have had to do, I believe, twice.
Some of the children are virtual that have chosen to be virtual, but there's not that many. Most children are there every day. Now, this week is an A, B, C, D week, 2 days on and 2 off. But next week, they're supposed to start back full time.
Okay. Manager Jenkins, can you update the council after you have that conversation?
Yes, sir. You know, and it creates a whole nother discussion that we probably need to have now with the school, because it's their intention to expand that facility there at that location. So we have to start talking about something to address the traffic situation on a permanent basis, because that's not going to improve. There's going to be more traffic as the grades increase there, a number of the grade levels. So I'll follow up.
Thank you. Any other comments from the council?
Yeah, Heath, I want to know what you have found out about crosswalks uptown. Have you gotten to talk to anybody about that?
I did. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland. I reached out to the MPO, the TCC person from Gastonia who handles those type of projects. I expressed in detail our concern with pedestrian crossings and pedestrian traffic on both Dallas or Highway 275, which ends at the turn on East Chestnut there. If you're on the police department and Woodshed side of the tracks, 275 actually ends as you turn there on the 27. And then you've got the 27 side as well. We've got new businesses operating, proposed new businesses. And so that was assigned to a staff member who actually followed back up and said, hey, yeah, she went out and did a visual observation, especially on Friday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday evenings, and saw that she agreed that we do have an issue with pedestrian traffic problems. And so she's supposed to be following back up with me sometime in the near future to see what, if anything, the state can do to assist us with that. I mean, I even explained that we would like the state's help, but if there's none available, if there's no funds available, then can we work with DOT to fund some crossings ourselves, similar to what Mount Holly and Belmont has in their downtown. And so we've got the ball rolling on it. It's just waiting to see if what help the state may be willing to provide to us, because we have to have their approval to do it, because those are both state main thoroughfares.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments from the council? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Councilmember Hart made the motion. Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland seconded the motion. Councilmember Pate.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland.
In favor?
Councilmember Hart.
Favor.
Councilmember Kaiser.
In favor.
Councilmember Ingo.
He might have had to leave again.
Okay.
He's muted.
He's there. And
I'm
he's
here.
in favor.
I'm in favor of adjourning.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.